I am calling to order the regular meeting of the Third Laguna Hills Mutual Maintenance and Construction Committee. Do we have any media present? No, but we have our communication department present, so that's a start. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I so move.
Second?
Second.
Okay,
Any discussion?
yeah, on the consent calendar, I'd like to move the 3 items, 8, 9, and 10 off of that due to questions pending.
Okay, so we're moving it from consent to discussion.
Discussion.
Okay, so you have that?
And that's 8, 9, and 10?
Yeah, the progress
Correct.
report, the maintenance expenditures, and the project log, so we could have questions.
Also, Madam Chair, if you could add item 12 to be the supplemental for the cul-de-sac signage. It'll be a report.
And we said last month, and I don't see it anywhere on here, that we were going to discuss the mailroom floors. We said that last month. I put like 9 million stars next to it. The reason being that for the mailroom floors, we weren't sure. We weren't sure as to when they did the mailrooms. Well, I want to put the mailroom floors on as an item for discussion.
13.
And it is not going to be future agendas. We have to discuss it now because last month we said we were going to discuss it.
Okay, we put that in the 2020 budget, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's
The
in the 2020
reason why
budget?
we have to discuss it because we want to make sure we're on the same page. It has nothing
Okay.
to do with the budget. It has to say, where are we going? So it's a where we're going. So
Okay.
that's why we marked it. The other thing, so that has to, so you don't have a report, it's just a discussion item.
Okay.
And are you going to mention anything about the streetlights? Just mentioning
yes.
it in your
Department head
whatever. Got
updates,
it.
yeah. Yep.
And I believe that was it. Did anybody else have anything else that should go on the agenda? Okay, so we have a slightly amended agenda. The agenda is amended by moving all the items from consent calendar to discussion. That's 8, 9, and 10. And so where are we going to put items to discussion, right? We're going to add that as a category?
We can add it under item number 12. The mailroom.
We're going to change
Yeah.
we can move the consent calendar to items for discussion. So we'll keep them as 8, 9, and 10.
Okay.
And we will add a 10B, which can be the mailroom floors. All right, does
Okay.
that work?
That'll work.
And then the cul-de-sac funding.
And then, wait, and then on the reports, we've added a number 12, which is the supplemental
That's correct.
for the cul-de-sac signs. And then we had a budgetary question as it related to the, so I think that should be an item for discussion, so it's going to have to be 10C. And we might kick it from here to another meeting, but it has to do with the money for the recessed area renovation. So we just want to talk about that. And also, I think an item for discussion we wanted to add was any updates, any reports on the non-chargeable emergency services. We could discuss it briefly, and maybe it has to go on as a total, but we have to know about pricing and what we want to do with it and stuff, and should anything go on and anything go off, so we could just touch on it. So that's going to be item D. So do we have a motion to approve the very amended agenda?
I so move.
We have a second. All right, all those in favor? Okay. All right, do we have a motion to approve the meeting report for May 6th? Hello?
I so move.
Do we have a second? Hello? We have a second?
I second it.
Any discussion? Maybe I should just wave this together, like they used to have in Nordstrom's Rack. Next! No. And all those in favor? Okay,
Strike her previous comments.
okay. Chair's remarks, that be me. I am the acting chair because Kush is on vacation, but Ernesto's probably sitting there and saying, thank goodness, it's only going to be for one meeting because Kush will be back. But don't you worry, I'm going to be an advisor next year. Me and Steve will be advisors. So those are my only remarks. The thing is that we're going to be going into our budget meeting, I believe, next week, and we're going to have a meeting, me, Steve, and John, Bunny, next Tuesday afternoon, just to review the budget, you know, what we have gotten, what the questions we have, and so it's going to be another pre-budget meeting. So those are my remarks. Are there any member comments?
Yes. Craig Wayne.
Good afternoon, Mr. Craig Wayne.
I think that your comment falls under the category of there's no rest for the wicked for next season. You said you're going to be
We're always busy. Always something.
Okay, so has he already started using up his time by walking around, or are we going to turn the clock on now?
Start now.
Okay, so good afternoon, Mr. Wayne. Please give your name and manor number, being that we can't see it, because
Craig
the
Wayne.
thing is blocked.
4024
Okay,
Calle Sonora Este. Okay. I'm going to start with present time, 2019, and then if time permits, I will go back to October of 2017 when this
and you
issue
have
started.
3 minutes, so,
That's why I'm starting from now. Okay, as you can see by the pictures, there are cracks in concrete slabs behind our manor. And those cracks had been patched, and the tree roots had been cut to prevent further cracking. And I had been advised that they would replace the concrete, okay, on multiple occasions. The latest occasion was this year, and Pete Iglesia Jr., the paving foreman, came out and he said, yes, we will replace the pavement. I thought, okay, finally. Then he said, well, we won't replace all of it. Now, if you look at that picture, you will see where it shows 113 inches. There is no seam indicating that that concrete was ever extended. Now, according to Pete, per the drawings, it's not supposed to be that long. So I tried to explain to him, well, obviously it hasn't been extended, there's no seam. I said, could you check with irrigation and see why the sprinklers are on the outside of that if it had been extended? He declined to
Here,
do
you
that
can-
research.
who did?
Pete Iglesia Jr.
Okay, Mr.
paving
Wayne, do
foreman.
you realize that that you should be working with the board when you have things like that and not the foreman and stuff? Because sometimes they're given answers that they shouldn't be giving. So let's change that in the future.
Okay, I can go all the way back to working with the board in October of 2017 when I presented this to the board.
Okay,
Okay, that's when it started.
all right.
Okay. And then I met with Brad Hudson in 2018.
Are you the one who made him quit?
God willing, and the creeks don't rise, I can take credit for that. Thank you very much.
Okay, so the
This part of my
thing
3 minutes?
Yeah, no, you'll get an extra minute.
Okay. So, The point is that I have gone to the board, I have gone to the CEO, and always been told that this problem would be fixed. Now, Pete's telling me that that's not the footprint for the drawings that they have, so he doesn't want to extend it all the way, so he will only extend it part of the way. Exhibit 2, okay? So I came back to him and said, no, I don't want it only extended part of the way. I want the whole thing done. So we're talking about a difference of 30.7 square feet. So for 30.7 square feet, he will not recognize the fact that this concrete has never been extended. He will not go to the irrigation department and see if those sprinklers are in their original position or not in the original position. So I'm requesting that these 2 concrete slabs be replaced.
Okay, I thank you very much. I think that, Steve, will your committee take this over? Or
It should come out of here.
out of here?
It's not an alteration,
Okay, I,
just part of the
So-
concrete
Madam Chair?
program, right?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and, I'll take a look at it personally and see what needs to be done. And I'll work with this gentleman.
okay.
To get that
Yeah, I
done.
mean, I have no idea when he says that he worked with the board. I don't know exactly. Occasionally, unfortunately, which is really terrible, something drops off of a resident's request, which it shouldn't. So if you can take care of it and then get back to us, and you get back to us if he doesn't take care of it.
Thank you, boss.
All
Yeah,
right?
I'll follow up with him.
Okay. The next speaker is Stuart Hack.
Are you coming up to tell us what a great job we're doing?
You are doing a fantastic job.
Not me.
And that, Rosemary, that you take on everything, including this committee, when the chairman's not here, is absolutely amazing. Every one of you, I appreciate what you do. So 2393, Via Mariposa, Unit 3D, and I'm here on behalf of the Gardenville Association to ask for your help. The directories and notices are posted on the first floor of the LH21 buildings, all 28 of them. Those boxes are not only not uniform, but they're falling apart and they look awful. And I'm asking whether you could possibly see it clear to put this on the 2020 budget. We've gotten pricing on it. It's approximately $1,000 per building to remove and replace. It might be a little less than that because we really don't want the proposed box, which has a key in it. We don't want it locked. So it might cost a few pennies less. But, you know, we live in a beautiful community, and I don't understand why in this beautiful community, the first thing that people who visit our LH21 buildings get to look at is a decrepit directory. It's a terrible way to invite people into our homes, and a terrible way for people who are thinking of buying here to have a first impression. I think it's time to fix it. It is, on my soapbox, a little extension here. I am really concerned about the emphasis that's being put on no increase in our monthly dues, monthly assessments, at the price of don't fix anything that needs to be fixed because it'll take us over. I'm really concerned about what this community is going to turn into with that kind of an approach, but that's my personal feeling that I'm sharing with you. The second thing I'd like to ask about is I did hear, thank you, that the floors in the mailrooms are going to be talked about. In conjunction with that, the floors on the elevators have been fixed or not fixed without any regard for a plan. And I'm hoping that when you talk about the floors for the mailroom, you include in that a plan for the floors for the elevator, so we get some uniformity here, and that area finally looks like somebody paid some attention to it. Thanks very much.
Okay. We do this a little differently with M&C. I will answer them as they arrive. So as far as the directories go, we actually talked about this to Ernesto, and we weren't sure, because living in an LH21, if we meant the little directory, why do they have the little directory and the big directory? They have two. And the big directory is usually a mess. There's no rhyme nor reason to it. And the little directory doesn't have to be a mess, except for in my building where it has crossouts on it. So it wouldn't matter what kind of box we had if the building captain doesn't do their job. But, and all that aside, we weren't sure, and Ernesto and I talked about this. Do we want to just have the small, what do we want? Do we want to just have the small directory replaced? Or should we just replace the big directory, remove the small directory, and have a position on we weren't quite sure, so we were talking about it. So I think that what we should do is take it out of this meeting, and I know I had a discussion with Lynn about it, and just talk to you and really say, what do you think? And then we'll go back to Ernesto. So that's number one. So I think that that could work. Because the big directory is like sort of nonsensical. I mean, I usually open the door and I'm taking stuff out that, people are advertising for their cleaning service and stuff. It's just like, not used at all the way you want it. So the second thing is I don't know what meeting that you went to about our budget, because we never, ever have discussed not raising it and letting the place go to rack and ruin. Because we all on the board so care about it, and that's why we work so hard. So we're not saying we don't want to, we are not going to do anything. And you should attend the budget meeting. When is our next budget?
It's from attending the budget meeting,
Right.
Your Honor, that I
Okay,
came to
so
this.
attend the budget meeting, or we're
feeling.
going to have you taken here. And you can see all the things that we're planning on doing.
I'll be at the next budget meeting.
All right, good. So will we. And then the other thing is we supposedly have a plan for the elevators. And the plan is supposedly, I'm saying supposedly, when you redo the elevators, clean the floors. When you redo the elevators, inspect the floors. If the floor needs to be replaced, replace it. For all of those elevators that were done before anybody thought of doing anything, go back and look at them all. So supposedly, is that the plan? Then that's what we do. And if we're not, then we should check on it. But that's supposedly the plan. For the mailroom floors, of course, we had another non-plan. So they went in and did the mailrooms, and I don't believe that we were cleaning the floors, we were inspecting the floors, all of the stuff that we should have done when we did the elevators. So, and that's why we have to talk about them, because we have to say, how many mailrooms have we done? How many do we have to run in and look at? And when we go in and look at them and decide to fix it, what are we going to fix it with? What is the best, most feasible, most intelligent, making it look good, non-slippery, because of, you could be coming in after the rain floor. So that's what we were going to talk about today.
Okay.
All right?
Thank
So
you.
there.
The next speaker is Merle Etner.
Hi.
Hello, how are you? Your manor number, please?
Pardon me. It's 30728.
Okay, yes.
I'm here to talk about dryers again. Remember several meetings back? We got into the dryers, and my last conversation with Kush is that the gentleman that is handling the dryers was sick, and he was waiting for him to come back to work. And I don't know where it was left off, but I relayed all that to my neighbors.
Sorry.
That's all right. I forgot to.
We were
shut my
gonna tell
phone.
you your
My
time
phone
was
goes
up.
off. I'll be saying the same thing. Sorry.
Okay.
You're right?
Okay, so okay, so therefore you came and presented the dryers. This is where we removed, you had,
3, and you got down to 2, and then we talked about the dryers, and do I need to go over all that?
no, I remember it all. I thought it
Okay,
was,
it's
I
kinda
thought the
boring.
entire thing was taken care of, so we
Yeah,
will make
it never
sure.
got taken care of.
All right, well,
So Kush, he's on vacation, but he said somebody, is that person that was ill?
I don't
Did he ever
know.
come back?
I don't know, but we'll take care of it. I know
Okay.
what we remember.
Okay,
Madam Chair, we'll look into his.
Yeah, I mean, the
drawing.
basic thing is that we never agreed, even though some people gave us that information, that we were gonna go in and eliminate dryers, unless a place had no business, had no revenue in it. You know, I'm not saying that. So we were trying to do, he's making a disturbance here. We were trying to do like for like.
right
So-
and left.
So we will look into it and we'll follow up. We have all your contact information? Lori,
Yeah.
do we have all of the contact
If you
information we
could,
need?
what laundry room are we?
It's
talking about?
L308.
L308, thank you.
Then I do,
Yeah,
yes.
but I think you had another issue. I don't want to get somebody's other, but I think there was another location also that was complaining. I mean,
Well, we'll
but
reach
work on
out.
ours first.
We'll reach out to you, and we'll have a
Yeah,
discussion.
one information that you might want to know from my drying experience now is that unfortunately, when you put your quarters in for the dryer, if you put it on high or if you put it on medium or low, the timing is the same. So if you turn down the temperature on low, you're spending a heck of a lot more money on low. But if you got, $80 worth of sheets in there, you don't want to burn them up. So it's kind of if they can be adjusted so that low gives you more time, that would be a good thing, if that's
Well,
possible. Does that make any sense?
Oh, it does, because I just did 6 loads of laundry this morning and I too use the same,
Low?
no, I use the dryers just like you use them. And the
Yeah.
thing is for all of the complaints that we have from people, I find that they are almost miraculous because their size is bigger or, whatever. And I would love to see if we have any difference in our electric bill, but I used to go in, put my sheets in whatever towel, and I would put it on for like an hour all the time.
Right.
And they're getting done in 40, in the 40 minutes. So what you're asking for is for us to fine tune this to the nth
If it's
degree.
possible.
Well,
You
we'll put that on our wish list, I think.
Well, maybe
He's
they
looking
can
at
do
me.
that.
What?
Maybe it's possible. Maybe the machine has that possibility.
Programming.
Yeah, the program.
Check out the programming.
Yeah, a quarter for high should be shorter than the quarter for low, right?
Well, okay, well, all right. But do you have any, I have nothing
any
to say
sense?
because I'm not a scientist or an electrician. Ernesto, do you have anything?
The timing is fixed on those, but we'll work with him to see how we can assist them and, getting the most out of the machine.
And then one other question, I gotta use as a question. The lighting coming up, the street lighting,
Yes,
are you gonna talk about it or is it just set up for another meeting later on? or-
yes, that's what he's going to talk about. Yeah, he's going to give us the dates and everything of the other meeting, and we'll make sure that you know about it.
Is it
Because we're having
possi-
more pilots.
Is it possible to move the 16 up to a earlier number? So I can leave?
Oh,
Because I'd like to hear about it.
I'm going to talk about it after you're done.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
okay, thank you.
Rosemary.
We have no other speakers.
Okay, do any of the board members have anything that they want to say? Well, I have to get finished then. Do any of the advisors have anything they want to say?
Special category.
That, I would just say that regardless of the programming capabilities of the dryers, that first and foremost, especially in three-story buildings, if you were to make a timing adjustment based on the amount of heat selected, then the people who would use them on low heat would be using them for longer periods of time. And I'm sure you'd have a number of complaints, people coming back and saying, I never have access to the dryer because people are using them on low when they use them for an hour and a half. And we only have one dryer per floor in a three-story, but just a comment, just.
Already
Yeah.
heard that.
And
Okay.
you can't hang the stuff over your patio or over your balcony to dry because you'd get a call. It's against, I think one time, 4 years ago or something, the stuff didn't dry and I put my towel there. Security was at my house in like a half a minute. I couldn't believe it. So it's like, oh, forget that.
Profile.
All right, yeah, then, so now I'm known as a
Laundry.
violator, yeah. Okay, so thank you all for your comments. You don't have anything to say today, Ed? Not today, thank you. Okay, well, save up. In any case, so the next thing, we have our members' comments, you had my remarks, and now it is time for the department head update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to brief you on the LED conversion program that your consultant Siemens is working on for you. I also want to mention that we've completed the acquisition program now. Actually, they overcounted and they overcharged us a little bit. It's like $3,000, so we got that money back. We've trued up the fixtures, and we've agreed on the number of fixtures, so we've already acquired the asset. We own it. It's ours. Now Siemens is fully on with the operations and maintenance as you contracted with them to do. The conversion to LED for the fixtures, as you know, we had a meeting and had a considerable discussion on what was being presented by Siemens at that time. There were a number of comments made relative to the pilot that had been put in place. Some of those comments are related to the fact that some of these fixtures are not one-fit-all type of deals, that we needed to test some of these fixtures in different situations, such as at a cul-de-sac or an intersection, on streets that have different width. And also the comments were made relative to the different Kelvins that should be tested. So we took all of that into consideration. Oh, additionally, also, there was a comment about the pole height, and that some of these fixtures needed to be tested on different pole heights. So we came up with a new pilot. We prepared a scope of work for a new pilot, which is essentially 4 different pilots that will cover all of these alternatives. We've outlined this in detail, and we sent the information to Siemens on your behalf so they could propose on. So they've already completed a proposal, and we have scheduled this to be presented to the board on July 18th at 9 a.m. So they will have a full-blown presentation for you. In addition to the pilots and their proposal that they're going to be presenting to you for those pilots, they are also going to be showing you 4 additional fixtures, because there was a comment made that we wanted to throw a different type of fixture in the mix. So they will present to you 4 additional fixtures. They'll do a preliminary layout as to what their cost is and what their characteristics are. And they will make a recommendation for you, because they're your consultant and they're supposed to do that. So the hopes is that at that meeting, we'll select a new fixture, or you will select a new fixture to add to the mix, and that you authorize Siemens to move forward with their proposal to deploy 4 additional pilots in the community. The thought is that after that it's put in place and the pilots are out there, that we'll go through the process again, gather feedback, and then bring that feedback to the board with a recommendation to move forward with something.
Okay, oh, go ahead, Bonnie.
Just one question. We won't need additional money at this point in time for that? I mean, because when we have the meeting, we'll be able to make the decision at that point, because there won't be
That's correct.
additional money. there's still money in the pot is what I'm trying to
That,
say.
that is correct. And we'll address it as a change order, if you would, to the contract.
Right.
You know, we're talking about $11,000 to deploy the new pilots. So that'll be part of the additional, the initial appropriation, so you don't have to act on it.
Okay.
And Ernesto was able to like negotiate a better deal because we were not totally satisfied with the first pilot. So I just had a question. So the date, so we're going to have a meeting where we're going to be talking about stuff and they're going to show us things. And when is that?
That will be on July 18th at 9 a.m.
In the boardroom.
Okay.
in the boardroom,
So,
yes.
so we have that.
And we're
and-
trying to get, by the way, we're trying to get the fixture that they would recommend. We're trying to get this, the fixture itself so that we can bring it here if possible. Not really sure we'll be able to do it, but we're trying to get that so you can see the actual fixture, you know, that they're recommending.
Right, and so then after that, when will we have about when would the pilots be? Like in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, the next day?
I would give it at least a month.
Okay.
You know,
I'm trying to
it's-
get it into,
Yeah,
so we're gonna, on the 18th, we're gonna talk about it again, see possibly another fixture, why we're doing what we're doing.
Right.
And then we'll actually have the pilots, we'll get comments from that, and then we will decide to go ahead. We won't be having another meeting with a whole open meeting again, will we?
no, my hopes is that once we deploy the pilot, that we
And-
get final feedback from the
Right.
community, and then we bring that back to you with a recommendation.
Okay.
And then you act on the recommendation, and then we move forward with it.
Okay, so
That's-
we have
that's
to
our
make
hopes.
sure that we work closely with our communications team on all of this, so, all right, excellent. Oh, I'm sorry. Of course. On the 18th? Of course.
Yes, it will.
Will the old pilot be taken down, the A, B, and C?
No, we're gonna leave that.
They're gonna keep it?
Yes, we're gonna leave
Okay.
that in place.
Will this meeting be put on Team Up?
Until you
on
make
the
a
18th?
decision.
I
Yes.
think it is on it
No,
already.
I'm
No?
looking at it right there.
I don't believe it is, but we will be.
Okay,
putting it
thanks.
in. Yes. We just wanted to make sure that you were okay with it.
So we have to make sure that people know about the meeting other than it being on Team Up. So it should probably be mentioned, we have to get that out there so that people know. I'm looking, all right, okay.
Yeah, we'll get
Other than you.
communications. Yeah, we get communications to put it out there.
I don't know if he'll be back, but
He comes
He
back,
won't-
but no, he won't be here.
No, he won't be back
Yeah.
yet.
He will
don't you
not be-
worry, I could handle it.
Uh-oh. That's a.
That's enough to scare you. Okay, good, all right, and are there any other department head, oh, wait, okay, yes,
The question was raised, would it be worthwhile to record it?
Oh.
We can certainly request IT to accommodate that.
but the thing is, all right, well, we
Good
can,
idea.
I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
all right, okay. And is there any other comments, any other questions of the board so that our department head could go back to updating us? No, okay, yeah, do you have anything else, Ernesto?
No, Madam Chair, that's it.
Okay, excellent. So we no longer have anything on the consent calendar. So, but we have an items to discuss calendar. So, and do we have to vote then on the programs report or just discuss it? Do we need a
No,
motion about?
everything on the consent
Just
calendar you can
reports.
discuss and.
All right,
and listen.
so does anybody have any comments or questions on the program report as opposed to the other stuff? The program report is agenda item 8, number 1, page 1 of 1.
I think it's good. I like the information that's in there. Gives us a jump start as to what's happening.
Okay. All right, next item on the, is the maintenance expenditures and variance report. Okay, so I have some questions. Does anybody have any questions on this?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll start with the board members first. Yes, John?
I may have more, but the first one that caught my attention, and we're working on the reserve the operating fund. Under concrete repair and replacement, it says the total budget is $423,853.
So wait, are you looking at the replacement fund or the operating
Oh, does
fund?
that go in order, where we should just do it?
Well-
I'm on the operating fund,
Okay, all
sorry.
right, that's good.
Page 2 of 4. So
So
anyway,
all of your questions are on the operating fund at this moment in time?
correct.
Okay, I have replacement fund
Should
question.
we move back to replacement?
We'll go-
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
So we're going to do replacement fund first?
Okay, I just had 4 items. You can just take them as you want.
Okay.
Gutter replacements, mailboxes, paint program exterior, and wall replacements. All of them look like they're over budget. Maybe you have a smoothing technique with this throughout the rest of the year? Gutter mailboxes. paint
Yeah, a
program?
couple of things that I want to mention relative to this report. First of all, you're looking at the April report. Okay, we're past that.
Well, we know that, but this is the only report we
Well, all
have.
these are over as
Yeah,
of the end of
unfortunately, we
April.
don't get it on time to provide it to you.
Well,
with
we
this.
don't get it in, well,
Right, yeah. So, but some of these items there's a timing issue because they don't occur till later around in the year, so some of them are related to that. On the paving program, on the concrete program. that
no,
was-
so. the
We're on
concrete-
replacement
We're
fund.
doing, he wants to do the replacement
Oh,
fund
okay.
first.
Gutter replacements, these 4 items were over budget, so that's why it highlighted it to me. The annual budget's 12,332. So far to date is 16,900 on gutter replacements. Under year-to-date actual and budget.
Did that have anything to do with the weather, or does that have anything to do with program timing?
It could have had, there's just a number of factors that affects these things.
Right.
The gutter, the item, the amount that you're looking at, the percentage, it's actually related to what's projected to be spent at that month. So it's not, in my opinion, it's not a good way to look at it. Look at your year-to-date budget,
Yeah, that's what he's looking at.
which your total budget is $1 million.
No, not on this.
I'm sorry,
why-
let me.
Gutter replacement,
37,000,
37,000, yeah.
right.
It's just over the monthly there.
And year-to-date, you've spent $16,000,
Yeah.
In 4 months,
$17,000.
that's in 4 months.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's a
right.
third of the year.
Yeah,
So
so,
basically, so if you say 37 divided by 3,
Right.
so it's over budget.
Yeah.
So the
It's-
question is it,
I
gonna change?
anticipate that this will level off. In fact,
Okay.
let me look at, because we just provided projections for you based on the May report. So I'm looking at those to see if I can tell you what we anticipate. Here's the gutter replacements. We anticipate spending $37,000 by the end of the
okay,
year.
all right, good.
So,
Okay.
again, that may be a blip because of the heavy rains
Yeah.
we had, and we accelerated more of the repairs up front. So there's just a number of factors that affect those numbers.
Okay. And mailboxes? We spent 16,400.
Right, out of a $36,000 budget.
Was that an accelerated program that you did? That may have included those new ones, right, for Garden Villas?
It could have, it did.
Okay,
Valenie's
that drove
shaking
it
her
up,
head.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. And paint program exterior? Of course, we got 2 million in there. I got 684,000
It's,
actually spent.
it's only 2%.
Yeah, that's on target.
Okay,
Yeah.
Chime in with something on mailboxes before we move away from it?
go ahead.
Just want to clarify, the budget that's stated for mailboxes is 36,483. In our quarter-end review, that budget was adjusted down to 24,730. And I just wanted to see which budget we should kind of be expecting as we move forward through the year.
Weren't those mailboxes, the mailboxes that we had to put in the theft mailboxes?
Yeah, there were, I think we did
Yeah.
6 of them? A total of 6 of them, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the mailbox replacement for the beginning of the year was unlike what we would have going forward. That had to do with our taking, we would say immediate, but it's not too immediate when you're dealing with the post office, but action to put in a sturdy, over budget, more expensive mailbox in the areas where we were having
Right,
theft
but
issues.
didn't we know that when they
No,
created this
no.
analysis?
This budget was created a year ago.
No, this was the quarter-end review where they did their department updates for us.
Right.
It was in our April finance meeting.
Right.
Yeah, this was a measure that the board took this year because of the crime that we've had on some
Right.
of our.
No, I'm aware of all that. I'm just saying that I think we knew that and the budget was still revised down, but it's
No,
not.
no. we
Okay.
didn't. All right, okay.
Let me just explain something. They don't do target chasing here, okay? In other words, they don't, if you had $60,000 sitting there and they wanted to increase it to 10, they don't move it to 70. It's just in the notes.
Right, but you remember this form, right?
Yeah,
This was presented to us in April, and each department
Yeah.
reviewed their current year-to-date. I'm not talking about last year's budget process, I'm talking about the
The
analysis.
forecast.
Right.
That's forecast.
Correct. And so
yeah.
Okay.
we'll just assume that that number's not meaningful any longer, and the current budget
And-
is.
And we'll just hope
Yeah,
that the
if-
next one is.
Yeah, if I may, on the mailboxes, again, we just provided you targets, year-end projections, and this was fairly recent based on the May reporting. And we're targeting that $36,438 to be spent at that level. So,
Okay, so are there any other questions on the replacement fund? Because the replacement fund is $2 million under budget, year-to-date actual, because most of these are contracted out programs that will start later. Am I correct?
that is correct.
Okay, good. So now let's go to the operating fund. Do we have any comments or questions on the operating fund? Yes, John?
Okay, so back to my question, my apologies for getting that out of order. Just really to get a clarification, the budget for line item 3, concrete repair replacement, reads $423,853. The March 31st report read, and the Green Book both read $375,000. So why is there a change in the budget between the 2 months?
We can't change the budget, so there might be something else in there.
That's what I'm asking.
And then it's
Typo or-
combined together, but,
Yeah, it's combined with other items. I'm looking for the other items in there. You got that up?
Yeah, well, this is May, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this
it
is
doesn't matter.
So it's an item that is in general services, it's not in maintenance and construction, but it does require, in addition to the concrete repair, it requires, there's masonry replacements for walls as well in there. There's a chain link fence repair, there's graffiti removal, there's sweeping and scrubbing costs. So there's a number of things that are affecting that overall number you're looking at, John. In general services, you're looking at concrete repair and
I
replacement,
mean,
right?
it's just called that, and then it has a whole bunch of stuff in it, so,
Right, but why is it different than the March report, the
Becau-
March 31st, and why is it different than the Green Book? It should always have those
the
numbers
Green
included.
Book the Green Book has different categories that don't appear on here.
Okay, I checked it, I
That's-
didn't see any, I could be
John,
wrong.
are you referring to the budget number? Is that what,
Yes,
oh, that has changed?
yes,
Then we'll have to ask finance, because you're absolutely correct, that number shouldn't fluctuate. Yeah,
Okay, so we'll
That-
ask finance tomorrow
Yeah.
at the finance meeting, and when they say, we don't know about that, it's up to the
Come back to
department head,
Ernesto.
then we'll have to go back to Ernesto.
Well,
we know the
And then we
process
can
at
just keep going back and
no,
forth.
the budget number that you see in there should be the budget number that you actually.
should agree with everything, that's why I'm
Okay,
asking.
so we'll just,
Exactly.
we can find out, but when you see us tomorrow afternoon, because we don't get the answer, don't be surprised.
I've, one more, Rosemary.
Okay, that'll be general services, but I can relate the information to Chris, yeah.
Okay, the other question I had, it'll be reviewed at finance tomorrow, but it's involving maintenance and construction, so I was hoping you might have a comment on it, which is, we're seeing big overruns in overtime and temporary help up through May 31st, and just for curious what that's related to.
When John brought that to my attention, I was sort of surprised, because I said, we don't use temporary help in M&C. Usually they use, this is what I said, usually they use temporary help in resident services. So what was the reason for that?
No, we do use temporary help for clerical and as well as for professional services. So, and this doesn't really affect you, but in the projects division, which addresses mostly, it addresses some of your programs, but addresses mostly GRF stuff. We do have professional services staff in there, actually registered engineers that are on board to assist us with the workload and with things that we just don't have the expertise to do. And then in our operations side of it, we do have clerical part-time help that we bring in due to vacancies that are occurring currently during the fiscal year.
So do you have any, I don't need exact, but do you have any feel for why during the first 5 months of this year, you weren't able to anticipate the need for that and it would be part of the budget? Why did it end up so much higher?
A lot of it has to do with vacancies, which we can't really anticipate. We lost, we had, part of this year is, we had 3 manager positions that were vacant. So we, again, we avail ourselves of outside services to be able to supplement that work. It's hard to predict, and it may be that that's not the complete answer, but that's certainly part of it.
Well, let me finish with the other way. Do you see that continuing, especially with regard to overtime that wouldn't involve managers?
No, the overtime will not be related to managers. Overtime would typically be related to addressing emergencies within the mutual, and those occur quite often in the plumbing division, because we don't have the staff on regular work hours to address those issues. A lot of it happens during the weekend and after hours, so a lot of the overtime is generated from that. Anytime there's an emergency, we don't think about whether it's going to be overtime or not. We just address it, and a lot of it ends up being outside services.
Okay, but are you? do you-
I'm done.
All right, well, it was interesting, because John and I were talking about this earlier, because we were talking to Jeff, and we said, well, one of the reasons why plumbing is always over is because of the weekend emergency things, and we use an outside company.
Right.
So the thing is what we really wanted to know is if there is if on the weekend an emergency is because somebody's water heater leaked and you had to call the plumber in, the person pays for that, don't they?
They would. That would be a chargeable service.
Well, right, so what I don't know, and I think we have to find this out through finance, because we never know how much, if you spent $300,000 for weekend plumbing for the year, I don't have any idea how much it is, how much of it is our stuff and how much is it resident stuff? And if it's resident stuff, are we charging, this isn't for you to answer, it's for finance, are we charging correctly? Are we charging them the right rate for when it happens? Because we know, we agreed on the board that we had to change the philosophy from, oops, we have nobody here on the weekend, so it doesn't matter if it leaks for 2 days.
Right,
We know
right.
that.
We
And
did that.
so that's important, but the thing is we have to just so then if it was service that it was resident related,
Right.
then that weekend charge, we never know how
Right.
it's charged. So we have to
So-
work that out. That's a total
Right.
financial
But
conundrum.
it will be a combination.
Right, but
if
we
I
don't
would-
know how
yeah.
much of it is.
It will be, but some of it may be related to actual mutual property.
Right.
And some of it may be related to
Right.
an owner piece of
Right,
equipment.
but we don't have any idea as to how much
We-
it is. So we have to find that out, John. We should ask
Right.
that at our finance meeting
Also,
tomorrow.
so we're looking into the costs associated with addressing emergencies with in-house staff as opposed to outside services. Because one of the things that we did is we ramped up our outside services so that we could be more responsive to residents during the weekend.
Right.
So we've done that. So, but we're analyzing that, and we're going to be putting together some report.
Right.
So that we can discuss it with Jeff to see what the best way to
Right,
go is.
yeah, because we,
So-
okay. Yeah, I know, we talked to him about it. Okay, so, so that was probably one of the biggest questions that I had when I looked at the numbers. I looked at the plumbing service and, when you look at operating funds, I still have no idea as to why we're spending so much on appliance repairs, but I'm not going to sit here and worry about, I have no idea as to why we're over double our budget. But that's, and we read your explanation for carpentry, and again, things, the biggest question then that I have is, how are we balancing, in any of the lives that we've all worked in, if something was significantly over for reasons unbeknownst to, just different reasons, are there any numbers in operating that are going to come in under budget? So that at the end of the year, we're just not really totally off. And I don't need for you to answer it now, but,
In operating, I don't think that that'll be the case. Again, these are projections.
what'll be the case?
That we're going to be under on any particular item.
So basically, we're just going to be over.
We're going to be slightly over.
And how slightly is slightly?
Well, right now, it's 1%.
I know, because some areas haven't spent at all, and they spend later. So
Well,
then
you
it's
had
gonna go up.
projected 300,000 in concrete repair versus 375. So that was-
Again, that's general services, so I
Okay, the
under-
basic thing
There were
is,
several items that were
when do you do,
projected to be low.
when do you do the forecast again?
We just did your forecast, using the May figures, which, finance has that. So I'm
And
not
they,
sure.
I
if-
think they use that for the budget meetings?
No, this is fairly recent. In fact,
Okay.
we just sent
All right.
it to them. So you should
Well-
have this information if you haven't yet. But a lot of the numbers actually are coming very close to target. I can briefly go over them real quick if you want me to.
No, I read the reports, I read these comments, and the three ones that stuck out to us, stuck out to me, was plumbing service, which we already discussed a little bit, and we read your facts on carpentry and appliance repair. So, we can't beat a dead horse to death because it's already dead. So, so
Okay,
we
'cause
can
there-
move on. Let's move on to the project log. And at this point, is there anybody who wants to lead this conversation? Bunny, do you have any big things on the project log, big questions?
No.
No.
Well,
Steve?
I read through it, it was only, what I was, on the building signs, I was just wondering when we expected to start. I think, didn't we just sign that contract?
And the which one, Bunny, I'm sorry?
Building sign, we're not doing building signs, we're doing cul-de-sacs.
Right, so the, right.
And
so
that's
the-
on the agenda.
Right, so the direction through the budget process
Right.
was that we do the supplemental, which we're doing today.
Right.
And then once we complete that, we're going to refocus our efforts on the building signs.
And that's, but next year.
That is correct.
Okay, so does anybody have any questions on the project log, being that I removed it from the consent calendar? Hope there's one. Okay, yes.
Okay, on building structures, do you expect this to smooth out and slow down a little? Or is this just emergencies only?
No, the building structure, a lot of that is budgeted as contingency work.
Okay.
And it's, is to replace whatever is damaged in our buildings as we find out through the prior to paying and as we do inspections proactively. Some of the things that we're going to be doing with that, because that's actually a contingency fund, we're going to be inspecting the buildings proactively for drainage issues. So for instance, those buildings that don't have fascias and don't have gutters, we're going to be looking at this monies, to use this monies to address some of that. So in other words, what would like to do is be able to spend all the money that you give us within the fiscal year to actually do work that's needed out there, not wait for things to happen with the buildings and then tell you at the end of the year that we have $250,000 left because nothing was reported. A lot of this is predicated on tickets that we receive, comments that we get from the residents. You know, the building is this part of the building is falling apart, so we go out there and we review it. We don't want to wait for that. We want to inspect them proactively, come up with a list of things that need to be done, address drainage issues with them, which is a big problem with your foundations in this community, because a lot of the water just dumps right next to the buildings. So we're going to be doing that. I don't know if there was a question somewhere in there.
Are you sure this is contingency fund instead of replacement fund?
No, that's, it is contingency funding for replacement items in the reserves.
Out
So-
of the replacement fund?
Exactly. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, I have a question. In my building, there are a bunch of people outside digging a really big hole. And there's no information as to why they're there. And
In the
they've been there-
landscaping or?
No, can't be in landscaping. I think they have on your uniforms. And I think they were I mean, they could be aliens. They have on, I mean, they have like all these plumbing trucks there. And I actually said to somebody, are we doing waistline? And I'm not kidding, it is a huge hole. And I don't think it would be, because landscaping wouldn't be digging a really big hole.
No, they wouldn't. So
So,
it
and
may
they
have to do.
actually, they've been there for like 2 weeks, and I have no idea, and everybody's asking me, what is this?
I'm sorry.
Perhaps we
Yeah.
should
We'll-
check, maybe they
we'll find
shouldn't
out.
be here.
Yeah, I'll find out.
Maybe they're supposed to be working somewhere else. So,
We'll find out what's going on.
it's
and let
right
you
in
know.
front, it's in front of 4015. I mean, you know, so they're not, I mean, if they were digging up a tree or whatever, they wouldn't be doing it. And there are a lot of plumbing trucks parked there.
We'll get your response maybe by the end of this meeting.
Well, I mean, I just have no, okay, in any case, so other items that we had, because we added them after the project log, so we had questions. So one of the questions is what is going to be our plan, or when will you have a plan, or when will you have information on what we're doing with the mailroom floors?
That's a very good question. I'm going to have Velny come up and
Okay.
and help us with that.
We have 4 remaining mailrooms scheduled to be renovated for 2020. Of the 4, there is only-
2020.
Yes.
So what about 2019?
There was no budget put in to replace any flooring.
No, okay. We don't care about the budget. We want to know what is the state of, how many mailrooms have we done? And we know we didn't do the floors, but what is the state of the floors of all of those mailrooms? And what is our plan to correct it?
Go ahead.
Staff has not inspected the condition of the mailroom floors.
Okay, so that will be number 1 of our plan. So we have to inspect the mailroom floors. I mean, primarily the ones that were done.
Rosemary, the interest to, we'll go ahead and do the inspections, and we'll come up with a plan to address the floors. Is your interest to begin to do that this year?
I think what we need is a report. And
okay.
then the board could decide, oh my God, this isn't as bad as Stewart makes it out to be. We only have 2 floors to take care of, let's do it.
Yeah.
Or, oh my goodness gracious, there are 38 floors that need to be done, how are we gonna do it?
Yeah, so we can
So
we can
that's what
certainly
we
do
need.
that.
So,
Can I ask a question? I was just wondering if we wanted to have the mailroom floors and the elevator floors inspected at the same time.
well, the elevator floors are on the program already.
Right, we do have a program for the elevator floors.
Right.
Yeah, so it's really the mail room floors that we want to focus on.
On the staff report, are you just looking for the condition of the 52 mailroom floors, or are you also looking for staff to recommend flooring materials?
I think,
Yeah.
This is the state, there, I mean, I'm looking for something that's.
We will.
Of the 53 floors, 24 of them need replacement, and we recommend you could do option A, B, or C, and take your pick, and when.
Perfect.
Thank you.
We'll bring that report to you.
So do you think that you will be able to have that by our next meeting, which is in 2 months?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Well,
let's
all right.
put that on the agenda.
Okay, so it's the condition and the materials.
And
Yeah,
materials
so
and a
and
recommendation.
recommendations.
Yes.
So that, I mean, the budget will have already been done, finalized, but we just have to, I mean, so Stuart, yes?
So if you're going to be in the mailroom in all the buildings, why not just look at the elevator floors while you're there, please?
Just in case we haven't been doing
Just
the
in case it
programming.
hasn't happened or one has been missed. Yes, sure, because you're there anyhow.
Yeah. And we
All
have
right.
problems with
Thank you.
movements.
Okay,
Okay, so they're going to inspect the mailroom floors and the elevators.
and take a peek at
PCAT,
the elevators. Actually, in truth, if janitorial is cleaning all those buildings, and they're supposed to be cleaning the floors, if they notice something, they should be reporting it. No, is that a positive approach? No, they're not, I know they're not.
Yeah, I sent in a request myself yesterday. For over a week, we've had a big stain and a sticky spot on our elevator floor. So our building has been cleaned at least once, maybe twice since that occurred. I don't think they're looking at the elevator floors at all.
It's really funny because something spilled in the elevator yesterday, and I went into my unit and got some paper towels and wet them, and I cleaned up much more than spilled, so I don't know how often they're being cleaned and how they're being cleaned.
So
I
did
think-
you notice what the condition was, so you can report it?
Well, it wasn't as clean enough, but there were no
We-
cracks.
we need more
Are we
reports.
inspecting for cleanliness too? That's over the top. We were inspecting for damage, but we might want to, could you ask Chris? Is that his name?
Yes, Chris.
And what are they doing to the floors in the elevators?
Okay.
If they're,
We can do both, Rosemary.
no,
We'll-
but
we'll,
I'm talking about dirty now.
Oh.
I mean, if he
Oh, in
said he
terms
put
of
a
the-
request in, maybe the guys aren't doing it.
What the program is for the custodials of
Right,
the other.
yeah.
Yes, we can certainly do that.
And then as we have a constant issue, things go into resident services and nothing is done with it. All right, so, then the other thing that I had was on this non-emergency, chargeable services. First of all, do we have a report on it? How is it doing? You gonna report again?
There was a report that we prepared. You requested it.
2 months
and
ago.
That's correct.
So we just want to know if it's continuing being successful. We think it is.
We feel that it's fit in the bill, yeah, that what was intended to do.
You're going to be coming up with a new program for the other mutual, I heard.
They're going to be looking into what else to do. And that's certainly, the chargeable services, I think it's a pretty legitimate way to, to look at that service.
Okay, and you don't have to do it now, but I don't know if you should, because wage increases come into play at the beginning of the year, or whenever they come into play, you should be reevaluating the costs and determining if the costs are accurate.
We are, for next year, in fact, we're going to do that. We're also, as I mentioned to you before, it's not only a matter of the dollars, because the dollars are being offset with the residents, but it's also a matter of the number of bodies that you have available to address it. So we don't want to tell somebody who calls us for a chargeable service that they're not going to get the service for 3 months. We want to be able to be
Well,
timely.
right, but I didn't find that I
No,
didn't-
that's not the issue at this point.
Right.
But we're going to come back, we're going to look at that as well. to see
Okay,
if we
well,
have
the thing
adequate-
is we have to have the service. I mean, and
Right.
maybe things will be different United offers them too, I don't know, but the other thing that I thought you would look at is, this is also the time that you should look at this list and see if there's anything that you want to take off of the list, because it's unnecessary. I'm not saying this minute, but I would say on the part of the board that you should have an updated list. You know, is there any service that should be removed? And are there any costs that should be revised?
Yeah, there's a number of services that are not being requested. I'm not sure what the value would be to have them removed from the list. I
Well,
mean, they're
that's up to-
available.
But that's up to the committee and for you to make recommendations.
Right.
So can you, when would you be able to have recommendations done by?
We can-
The meeting, you have a meeting in September and one in November.
Yeah, we can update it for the next meeting and.
This is going to be what should be online and stuff for January? Or when?
For the coming year,
Well,
for January.
so it could, because it says that this was approved by resolution May 16th, 2007?
Oh, that's.
2017,
No,
I'm
yeah, we
sorry.
changed.
No, but we did this 2018, we didn't do it in
Yeah,
2007.
it was much later
Later.
than that, yeah.
Yeah,
You
because
already-
it was just when Bert Baum got off the board.
Right. Yeah, it was actually in 18, September 18.
Because there's no date then on this.
Yeah, September 18, that's when we did it. So we'll go ahead and revise it, you know, not revise it, but we'll give you updates on what's being used, what's not being used, and we'll give you some recommendations.
Yeah,
as
I
to
think
whether-
that would be a good thing to just do, and that would be on your next month's thing. Yes?
I just want to add to it, since they're going to redo this or reevaluate it, that you should add this carport condensation panel.
If they
repairs.
want to, if we want to, the board has to decide. It's, you know, because that was an item for future
That you have actually an item that's coming back to you on the carport panels.
And that, when will we have that? I know it says future agenda, so I didn't know.
Yeah, so we could add it, you know, we could add it to the next
Next
agenda.
So if you have
Okay.
that for September and you have
September.
the list for September, you might decide to put it on or not at the
Yeah.
same time.
September,
Okay?
yes.
All right, well, that works. So, did I miss anything, Lori? Because all
Yes.
my handwriting was getting very scratchy here.
We actually skipped item 10C for the Garden Villa Breezeway recessed areas.
Oh, it was thank you, my handwriting, I couldn't read. This was a question that I had, and I didn't know the answer. If we have, say, I'm gonna throw numbers out. If we have we had $240,000, or just saying, all right, this year.
Yes.
And then we decided we weren't doing the program like that, but you were spending $60,000, right?
That is correct.
So then, why do we have to budget money in it, put money in it for next year? And you could correct this, Steve. Doesn't the 240,000 sitting there, can't we use that for the next 4 years? Use it up, or that isn't how we do it?
I don't believe it carries over, right,
No,
Steve?
all the
does.
GRF does.
Right,
The
so,
So-
other mutuals don't.
So if you don't use it, it just
It falls back to the overall pot.
falls, okay, all right, I just wanted to know that. John and I weren't sure, because we said, is he double dipping?
no, not today.
I said it.
Not today. But that's a good question in finance meeting, but I believe it does not carry.
Okay.
So you have to actually rebudget it if you want to
Okay.
use it.
All right, then. Okay, so, and thank you, that was my only question on that, Lori, so thank you for bringing that up. All right, so then the next thing we're up to is number 11, which is revisions to the exterior paint color options. So the board that we have there is what we're using now?
Right, so Madam Chair, I can have Melanie kind of summarize the report and then go over the board.
Absolutely,
So,
but I'm
Melanie,
going to
please.
the bathroom. so- Steve or Bunny are in charge now.
Okay. You gonna do it?
Me? Sure. Where are we?
Color palette.
The color
Oh,
palette.
Okay, you're going to
You
present.
know more than I do
right?
on that.
The board in front of you is actually the proposed new 10 color options for the 2020 program and therefore after. 1 through 10 is for all single stories as well as multi-story units. 7, 8, 9, and 10 color options are for your 3-story buildings, which would include your garden villas, your El Miradors, Casadoras, the Villa Capris, Villa Puertas, the Aragon Sierras, the Villa Nuevas, Castillas, La Brisas, and the Casa Contenta models. At the May 6th MNC committee meeting, staff was directed to, of course, get with a design consultant, and we use PPG for third paint colors, and these are the color options that they are proposing to give a classic and timeless, along with a touch of current trends for your buildings.
So today we're looking for them to,
Approve the colors to replace the existing color palette.
Is this the existing palette?
No, these are
These are
brand
the new ones.
we're gonna bring the existing color palette for you so you can compare. So, Melody's bringing it.
Okay.
I know, I don't know whether it's gray or green.
Are you looking at option 3?
Yes, yes.
Green.
It's green,
It's a green tone.
yeah.
And option 6, the bottom part of that vertical.
This one,
Yeah.
it is actually a granite color.
Oh, okay.
So if you're looking at the color palette, your largest color is going to be your body option. Of course, the top is your trim, which is mainly on your wood surfaces. Okay? Your color over here to the left side is going to be your accent colors, your pop outs, and your door option colors, and then of course an additional door. You also have white, delicate white as your options for garage doors with units with garage door colors as well as front entry doors. Wrought iron colors on the single stories and multi-stories are fixed black wrought iron colors. In the 3-story buildings, you have more of an option. You have body color trim as well as the black for the wrought iron.
I know that Rosemary mentioned that we decided against the green. I can remember that. That was about 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know what the difference between that green is and the green that we had before that we decided to remove from the palette.
The green was removed on 3-story building palettes, but never on single stories or multi-story units. So
Okay.
green is still being offered, and it is actually one of the most popular colors for your smaller buildings.
Okay, would you say that again? It's not for the 3-story buildings, it's just for the,
The single stories.
The
and
single-
multi- yes.
and the- oh,
So
okay.
if you're looking at your 3-story buildings, you're looking at option 7, 8, 9, and 10.
okay.
They're more creams. Also, please note that option 7 is actually your default color. So any buildings where we don't have a majority vote or where we don't have voters at all, it will default to option 7, which is more of a cream color.
So these are the existing colors right now, so you can compare.
Okay.
And those are the planned colors?
Yes.
Right.
The new
All
ones.
right, and we're definitely taking 3 off.
Well, what
You
what
wanna-
she
You
said,
want to talk about that, Melanie, real
Yes.
quick? I'm sorry, Rosemary, you weren't here. Go ahead.
For your 3-story buildings, it's option 7, 8, 9, and 10. There is no greens there. Green is currently being offered for your single stories and multi-story buildings, and it's actually one of the popular colors.
And it looks ugly, I swear. Even on, we took it off of the 3-story buildings because it looked like a monster. Even on the 2-story buildings, it doesn't look right. And I don't think that we should offer it. I mean, if you go and you drive around, because sometimes people pick the colors, because the color is picked because 2 or 3 people vote on it, and that's it. And then everybody runs around complaining. You can't even go outside your house, and people are complaining about the color. And I'll say, didn't you vote on it? Didn't you whatever? I really think all of us should look around that, and I think it's inferior for this community.
All we need is direction.
Well, I'm
Okay,
gonna give you
question.
my direction.
Off of the existing palette down here in the lower right, is that the same color green as on option 3?
No, all these are new colors. They are similar in tones, But you can tell that that one is still being offered on your single stories. Option
So
3
it's-
is, we can
It's
definitely
gonna
replace.
go.
We can
But
replace it.
the other question though is that, and I know you were doing your presentation, so the big box is the body?
Yes,
Don't some of those look dark? I mean, number 8 and number 10 are dark.
they are dark, and it's a trend that they are using going forward in the modern, but still blending in with your buildings. So they wanted to give an option to the members of the community, both light and dark, as we're finding that throughout the Southern California, people are going with a lighter trim and a darker body color.
I must be
We use
You know, my house,
design
the houses
consultant,
that I own
and these
are
are the
white.
colors that they have thought that would be very good for our community.
I'm sorry, say that again, who?
PPG Consulting
Oh,
and Design Company.
I see, so PPG is making the recommendations for you. But again, it's entirely up to you, this is what's recommended.
And which are the ones for the 3-story buildings?
7, 8, 9, and 10.
Stuart, are you here? Have you seen any of these?
I had a quick look at it, I snuck
And
in while
did-
nobody
and
was.
Are you have anything to say?
Can I officially look at it now?
Now you can, I mean, I think 8 and 10 are dreadful. And I mean, this is just my opinion, but remember, I am not the epitome of taste in all matters.
I like it.
Yeah, with due respect, I like what these options are here. I think there's an opportunity for the buildings to look somewhat distinct, which is a good thing. And the colors that you're finding objectionable are accent colors, they're not the main.
No, the body color of
They're not
8,
the body.
the body color of 8 is that big brown color.
Right.
I don't find anything objectionable about it.
Oh,
We'll take a look. Get another opinion? Sure.
oh my goodness gracious.
That's a common color in San
But this is, it looks like our landscape, brown.
So ours are 7, 8,
Our
9.
landscaping is green.
Ed, come on, Ed. Come on.
I gave my opinion, the only
Yes,
four
this is
colors
fine.
should be pink, purple, yellow, and orange.
Sit down and that's enough for you.
Without us.
Looked at it and kicked it up, 'cause
All right, I mean, again, we have to take, the board looks beautiful, but we have to take 3
on my
off. It really
experience.
does look.
facilities.
It looks.
It's up to the committee, it's not
No,
one
it
person.
looks terrible.
No, it's up to the committee.
I am in charge.
So, it's up to the committee.
I almost got the yesterday just to see if.
But I do love, I am my building, so, I mean, on my building, we have the navy blue doors, and I love.
Those are not. You didn't know. They
These
do.
are all brand new colors, yes. These are all
I seen
brand
with
new
the
colors.
red too.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that my building gets, so I'm sorry for being a pest, so if I'm in a, so the 3-story buildings can only use 7, 8, 9, and 10?
Yes,
See, so 2 of those colors are very dark. I think that's a very big consideration.
So if the color is chosen, would all of them get painted out, 3 floor doesn't paint the same color, whatever color is
just for the
chosen?
building,
Each building.
each building,
Each building is used. So I'm assuming that the large square is
the body
the
color.
body color, and the trim are these 3 different colors.
No, the trim is these colors that sits right on top of the larger,
Okay, what are the
swatch.
other 2 colors then?
So this is your pop out, your accent. So if you're
Okay.
looking at your 3-story building, some of you have a T at the very end of your buildings where your stairwells are, along with sometimes your 3rd floors pop out of the building, that would get the accent colors.
The 2
Okay.
different accent colors.
This color is your door option color.
Okay.
So, but on 3-story buildings,
Yes.
a lot of them have black wrought iron.
Yes,
Is that gonna, because it looks very nice, is that gonna be another option?
black is an option for wrought iron, but so is body and trim. They get to choose as a majority vote.
No, but I think they have to know, that.
What is a wrought iron color?
They can be body, trim, or black.
Got it.
Bodies, no, because I actually, when I see the
Because
back
some
ones, it
buildings
looks very.
prefer for the wrought irons to kind of fade away, and some think the wrought iron is an accent on a building. So it really depends on the members that live there.
Ernesto,
7 is actually the
Vanessa.
default color, so it is a
Does
color
that-
that
do
we
these
thought
colors
would blend
impact
very well.
frequency
And
of
so when we have
repaint?
buildings that
No,
have
they
a
don't.
majority vote, we'll.
Because otherwise you
as well
would
as
be
your lawn.
dark brown for everything.
well, no, black is high maintenance, it tends to
No,
crack.
I
Right,
just,
right, the lighter the better.
Right.
Well,
So the
in my
black-
building, they don't want the white. We have the white, they don't want it anymore because the white seems to show all the stuff best.
white on what are they at?
On the wrought iron,
Oh,
the white tends to
You're talking about
show.
the spindles.
yeah,
Well,
well,
it's-
whatever, just the trim. The
It's
balcony.
all the metal,
Right.
all the metal. They want black, so,
So there is 3 options for wrought iron for that reason.
I mean, I've been so
You know
instructed.
what I think is a really important, well, we have to talk about, we don't have to do it now, as to how, we always have a problem with the person, it hasn't been that way since Ernesto has been here. But when we had the people going out, gathering the information from the residents, it has never been pretty, in the 3-story buildings.
It
You know,
won't be
they'd
this
say,
way.
I'm coming out at 7:30 on Tuesday morning, and it would be like, whoa. But I think that it would really be helpful if there was a picture, any pictures. And I don't mean like if you were offering the black wrought iron, then you could show it, you know, when, not for on your board, but for when the people comes to gather the votes. You know what I mean?
We do take out a color
A book?
Yes.
All right, well, when I had our building done, nobody, they didn't have anything. It was like really bad. So sometime we should go over that.
Hey, Melanie, is it possible on option 8 and 10, the body color, to actually see it on a building, even if we don't have one in the community?
Nesto, Steve, we're having a meeting.
Ernesto, on the body color for option 8 and 10, is there a way of getting a picture of some building, it may not be in here, that has those colors on them, so we can see in bigger graphics?
PPG may have something, I don't know if we have it in the community.
We do have a rendering of a 3-story building, I believe. Just keep in mind that the pigments on your screen will vary.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, I wouldn't even put that up, because the pigments on what you're gonna see, it's totally off, totally off.
That'd probably make me hysterical.
Yeah, so we don't wanna do that.
If this company is saying those are popular, then they should have some buildings you can look at.
The only problem is that they may have it, but it's not in the combinations that we have.
No, but all I'm asking for is the body
The
color
body color, I can
Yeah.
definitely ask the.
for 8 and 10.
Okay.
We can see it on a larger
They're
screen.
so dark. Oh, but if people next door pick number 8, I would be depressed every day when I went outside. Yes, Roy.
I think that, given the nature of our discussion, and I've run into this many times, it's difficult to legislate taste.
But
And-
I have
and-
taste, so I don't worry about it.
Well, some of us also have taste, but it's different, it's different from yours. It may not be as good or as bad. The key, I think, as governing folks, is to offer options and let the public decide. And therefore, I would like to suggest that we approve all of these colors and see what happens.
A concern that I have on numbers, I'm looking at COM, in number 7, is you have a lot of great door colors. That's a very, is that a dark brown door?
It's like a coffee, right?
It is.
Because the other colors are the accent colors with it are great, but the dark brown door is like,
They are option for door colors, so.
they are.
They are.
So
So
we
as a
could-
majority vote, you can actually go with the The pop-out
No,
exit.
I meant like the rust colored door is fabulous. The brownie orange color.
Yeah, so you can go with either one for door colors.
Well, I'm saying I don't like either one of those.
She likes the rust color one, like option one.
I think that.
Yeah.
That number 7 is over somber. When you look at every one of your things has a little lilt to it, you know, either with your blue door, and I tell you, I've had a blue door for years and it's really feels more modern. So I just think the dark brown, I'm gonna have a really hard time. I'm gonna have to move before they paint, because I don't wanna.
Get some rose-colored glasses.
Well, you don't know how many people are really gonna pick it.
No, but the thing is I won't tell anybody when the selection day is, and I'll be the only one who votes. What are you kidding? Okay,
Well, this is just for third, right? These are just for our third building. What's United picking for their buildings, or does that matter?
I'm sorry.
Rosemary.
Say that again, Bunny?
Right. What's United doing for their colors?
Oh, United?
Uh-huh.
Black and white, not sure.
Nothing yet?
It's tan, they're all tan. It's all beige and tan, every bit of it.
And they haven't changed their color palette since.
It's been a couple of years. They just changed it. It's all tan, every bit of it. Tan, tan, and tan.
I think the only way we can do is vote.
okay, so then I have to have a motion.
I move to accept staff's recommendation.
We have a second? Oh, this has to go to the full board though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
So what you're voting on is essentially, on the revised ballot.
Yeah,
Right.
that's it. That's what you recommend.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I
Yeah.
honestly believe that choice is the way to go. If
So,
there,
excuse me, we've always had choice, so it doesn't matter. We've
Oh, it
had
does
choice.
matter.
No, we've always had choice, so nobody's saying we're not gonna have choice.
If
We've
you-
had choice in all of the years in the past.
If
The
you
the
take-
boards never looked as nice as this,
if you
but we
take
always
away
did.
7, 8, 9, and 10, if you take 2 of those away, you only have 2 choices.
No, we're not saying to take those away. We were just asking, is there any way to perk those up? That's all I was asking. Is there any way to have them look at a different colored door for 7, because it's very dull? That
Well,
was
yeah,
it.
you can, I don't have a problem with moving doors around. I just want to give folks a choice.
Of course, but we've always done that, so it wouldn't be anything new.
So what we
So,
can do, if we can have you vote on this revised ballot, and with the proviso that we'll bring you additional choices for your door colors.
Okay.
Would that help?
Yeah, I think
That's a
that would
good
help.
idea.
Because I'm not kidding, the ones where you have the blue and the other, it's so contemporary looking, and if we're saying we want to make it more modern, then I agree with that, but that one's like.
Well, the dark,
I know that we
That'd be nice.
really wanted to have a white one, and white is one because of gate 11, and they really wanted the white. And I think that is really pretty. It really is, it's very nice. So, okay, if you could just get us some, maybe there's a way to, without going over the top, adding a door option. Like even for number 1, maybe people don't like a red door. Oh, but they could have the brown, the beige one,
well, they can have the white too. That's a default.
right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
But if you could just get another door, maybe another option for number 7, I would be okay. I mean, I don't like the dark buildings, but
Are you looking, are you looking for something very contrasty, or somewhere in
I
between?
think that the rust colored door is really pretty, so I don't care if it's the
So
rust.
you're looking for contrast.
Yeah, and look, it's bright, it really gives it, when you go to these big buildings and then you go up to the door, it's just refreshing, and you look at the buildings and it's just, I think it's, we should paint them all red, like they do in London, red, yellow.
We could agree with that.
Right, okay, so, we have a motion, we have it seconded, all of those, so what we have to do, if we could just get a little tweak or two, we could present it to, the board.
Yes.
And is that an open session or closed session?
Yeah,
No?
open session.
Open, and do we have to, do we have to put it on 30 days?
28 days, I don't.
28 days?
I don't
Does
think
that?
so. I don't think so. It's not a resolution.
Okay, so will you be able to, just get that little number 7 fixed up by, so then we can tell, Cheryl that this is gonna go on open agenda, because we're having our agenda prep meeting on Friday morning.
We'll do that.
All right,
So I need to vote though, I didn't get the vote.
We haven't voted yet.
we haven't voted yet.
Okay, all right.
All those in favor?
Yay.
This may have to go on the 28 day, because it is a resolution. I didn't see that.
All right, so then it'll go
But
on.
it's not-
It is,
it's not-
it is a resolution, but you're not changing policy, so.
Okay,
you-
all right. Well, check with Cheryl.
Okay,
She'll-
good, all right. So now the only other thing is, and then we can, because I need to rest, no. The other thing is this supplemental cul-de-sac signage. So it's number 12. He added that as number 12.
Yeah,
That's correct.
All right,
Madam
so-
Chair, any question?
Yes?
I just
Are you
want
gonna ask are any of those paints more expensive than another color?
no.
But that's a good question.
Because he would.
I'm sure they're all about the same.
Never thought of it. I did pass out, Betty brought us down the latest forecasted updates, so I gave everybody a copy. I don't know if you want to spend any time on that today. Every number in general is equal or higher. There's a couple of slight savings. I just went through and did a comparison with our March 31st. So we're looking like it's starting to creep up overall, would be my general comment. I don't know how far you want to go with it, but everybody's got one. We could talk about it further tomorrow if you like.
I think we could talk about it tomorrow. I think we've driven Ernesto crazy enough today.
I'm ready to do whatever you need me to do, so if,
Good for you. Then throw that color board away and come in with a new one. And they won't know the difference.
That's
No.
nice.
Next, I should have done it, but I
Nice.
should have met with Bellamy before. Okay, because we used to actually have a very small paint committee, and I was on it.
I
Two of
remember
us.
that, years ago.
Okay, all right, so go ahead, Ernesto.
okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So essentially what we're looking for is an appropriation of, a supplemental appropriation of $23,000 to fabricate the balance of the signs that are needed to complete all the cul-de-sacs in Third. So as you know, direction was provided to staff to do this. This year, we had actually proposed it for 2020, but the direction was, no, let's do it this year. So here we are before you with a request for the supplemental appropriation. We will essentially keep the program moving. It will be seamless. We'll just keep the contractor going and fabricating the signs until they complete them. This year, last year, we completed 51 of them. This year, we're scheduled to complete the 122 that you budgeted for, and we'll add then 77 that are required to complete all of them. So,
Do we have a motion?
I so move.
Second?
Second.
Okay, I personally think that of the things that we've done that are totally non-maintenance, it's been one of the best received things that we've done, and it's very good for safety, just as we know the lighting will be very good for safety. And the only reason why I had asked to move it forward is because we were saving all of the money, and because it is so well received, it's like, let's do something that's well received, really well received in the community. So that was one of the reasons why I asked to move it forward. Do we need any discussion on this? Any naysayers here? Okay, so all those in favor? Does this have to go to the board then?
Yes, it does.
yes, ma'am. In fact,
Okay.
we already got it
With-
on the agenda.
With a committee recommendation.
That is correct.
Okay, so at this point, look at the time.
I know, this is
What
fabulous.
a doer. All we have to do is look at the calendar to try to set up a date for the next MNC meeting, being that we all don't want to come in on the holiday, just to meet. So when would we recommend having this meeting? Hello? So the holiday is September 2nd? Oh,
Yes.
Yes.
so do you want to have it the next week?
Kush gets back the week after that, if that means anything, and we
He'll be back on the 10th.
Well, I mean, I could still run
No,
another meeting.
he's on August. He'll be back August.
So can we have it then, I mean, I hate to have it on the 3rd. It's like you're just getting back after being off and we're pulling our hair out. Could you have it on the 9th?
We can do it on the 9th, if, I don't see anything on the board for the 9th.
I know I won't be here.
Yeah.
I'll be coming back the 9th, and if I drive really fast.
Well, we wouldn't want you to do that.
We can do
The 9th?
one, so
I could probably try.
Win big, you won't come back, right?
No, I was gonna go meet a cousin I've never met.
Okay, so did we decide? Hello?
yes.
September 9th at 1 PM?
9th, September 9th, 1 PM.
Okay. So you'll get all those changes to the calendars and all that other stuff?
Yes. Oh, Lori will
Perfect.
take care of that.
Okay, so at this time, I would like to give the committee members an opportunity to make any comments. John? Bonnie?
I just want to make a comment on the project log. I noticed there was additional information on it, and I
use your
really
mic.
appreciate it.
Okay, so Bunny says could you please pay attention? Bunny says, thank you for the additional comments on the project log. They are very well done. I didn't want you to miss a compliment.
Yes,
Appreciate that.
yes.
Steve?
Yeah, I love this new color palette depiction, far better than the one on the right.
The big thing is though, the big thing is where are you gonna display it? Because
People want to see it.
people wanna see it.
The lobby's
Well, no, excuse me, it's pretty big.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
there's
but you
lots
can
of
still
room
put
in
it
the
on
lobby.
an easel.
Could you put a plexiglass cover over it or something?
We could put a piece of plastic on.
No,
over it.
because it used to be like a big, no, I'm not, the reason why I'm telling you this is it used to be a big to-do if we put it up and United didn't have as much space as we had. I'm just preparing you.
Oh, ours will be
Yeah, but
done
they don't
before
have the
theirs.
colors, they just have all tan.
Just, well, no, because how often, all right, excuse me. So we're gonna vote on this or at our next board meeting. And these are colors for next year, not for this year. And how long are you planning to put it up and where are we gonna put it? That has to be part of it.
This board was designed just for this meeting for you. We will reduce the size to fit in the display case in the community center.
What display case?
But I like that.
There is,
In resident services.
it's in resident
Resident
services.
services.
Inside?
Right inside the door on the wall.
That's gonna be really small.
No, it's already there. You can just see it.
How much does that have to be reduced?
It's square instead of rectangle. But you can see all the colors on it. It's actually
I guess the thing is that, I just wonder if there's any, if it could, because it's so nicely done,
Exactly.
if there's any way that it could be on an easel on a very temporary basis saying, I mean, I don't know. I
We
mean-
can do that. Yeah, we could certainly do that.
I mean, we
we'll-
just have to get clearance from the powers that be.
Right. We'll-
And even if it's only there for a few weeks and then say, this will be permanently, or this will be on display in resident service, just something, because it is pretty, and to add a little hoopla to it.
And it's got explanations.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll
Well,
figure
we
out a
have to
place.
make sure it's, because,
after the board approves it and we get revised colors on there.
Right.
right, okay, so in just that, and, okay, but it's so, I mean, as compared to the,
Wow.
A little bit better, yeah.
Dr. Sarge?
yeah, a little bit better. They used to put them out in front of the clubhouses too,
There is one, the last one.
but we don't do it anymore.
Yes, it is still there.
We still do, we do?
This one, the new one?
No.
Not the proposed, the existing one,
Existing
yeah.
one.
So we could also have another board made for Clubhouse One.
Or move it from 4 to 5 to 6 to 7.
Traveling.
We have traveling board.
There has to be a space for it, though. I think there's a space that they put it in.
Well,
All
we
right,
can-
well,
we can
in any
work through
case,
that.
so when you come back, when this comes to the, okay, for the board meeting, you should probably, when we talk about it, we could let people know this will be in the lobby, blah, 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 and then it's, so it has some talking points to it. Will you be able to do that?
Of course.
In time for the meeting? Okay, so Steve had his thing. Ernesto, do you have anything? Except to say thank you very much for ending this before 3 o'clock.
Thank you.
It's a first?
Good to have Lori back too.
All right, so thank you all very much, and thank you for the staff for doing such a great job. This meeting is adjourned.
Finito.